Well, hello everybody.
Of course. Yeah.
We have to make introductions for ourselves, and I let Casey to do it first. So Casey, introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Casey Rodriguez. I've been with Mizuno for about 15 years, doing a bunch of different things across our organization, and currently lead our direct-to-consumer initiatives. We've been doing some really exciting things over the last couple of years. Pretty excited to share with you guys how we've elevated our brand, and I'm here with Sergey, who comes from our digital agency, Mira Commerce.
Hi everybody. I'm Sergey, Mira Agency CEO. So for the past 20 years, I've been helping brands to navigate the digital shifts. And there's been many trends changing, but in the past 5 to 7 years, we've been building very complex, highly performant, composable architectures for our clients. And I'm beyond thrilled to have served Casey and his team for over 10 years now with my team to help them along that digital journey. And so I'll start by actually turning it back to you. How many merchants, brands are here in the room today? Quite a few. And then how many partner agencies, service providers, and the technology, platforms, tools? Okay, some people from BigCommerce here, good. But the majority of you is the right clientele and the audience for this. So the question of the day is going to be, how do you take a 120-year-old iconic sports brand and you transform it to get that digital speed of an athlete? And we're going to give you the highlights, but there is more information that we'll share with you later on where you can learn more, right? Half an hour is not nearly enough time for us to cover everything. But I want to start by saying that since 2016, we've been working with Mizuno, and we have not only implemented tax automation systems and the order management platforms and expanded features. We tried to build a digital foundation for something that will stay for a long time. And by 2024, we hit a stone wall. The legacy monolithic platform that they were operating on was just not flexible, was too expensive, was fragile, and very difficult to maintain. And for marketers, the horrible thing was that they cannot publish content fast enough. And so we started to look around what's out there. And we together looked at the industry behemoths, leaders, Shopify, Salesforce, Adobe, BigCommerce was on the stack also. And the question was not about modernization of features or adding features. It was more about the underlying architecture. How is the platform built? And is this modular enough to actually power the next generation features that we want to deploy and connections? And is it going to be robust enough for us to then iterate? And so it was about modernizing the stack. It was about making the selection that's future-proof for Mizuno. And then I want to turn it to you and say, share with the team of how, what are some of the aspects of this change that you were considering, and what were the decisive factors, and what was your evaluation criteria for making that platform decision?
Yeah, thank you, Sergey. I mean, obviously, to what Sergey had mentioned, we knew that we had to go through a technical transformation in order to hit the big objectives that we had and the goals that we had for our business. So we really started by defining 4 pillars of change that would help us, guide our path to meet these goals. And the first pillar of change that we defined was agility. We knew that in our industry, the trends were moving fast, and we needed the ability to move as fast as our athletes were and as our consumers were who were experiencing our brand on the site. So that was the first pillar. The second pillar that we defined was autonomy. Here at Mizuno, we manage the US and Canadian storefronts. Those are 2 distinct markets, and we needed to be the ability to tailor unique strategies to each of those markets. So we really looked to automate as much of the repetitive noise as we possibly could in the background, so that we could, focus on, the autonomy of each of those markets and grow the business independently, while keeping the data unified in the background, so that it's easier to operate and manage. So the third pillar for us was ROI. As Sergey had mentioned, we had kind of felt stuck in the previous technical stack that we were in, and we were tired of investing in temporary workarounds. So we really wanted to stop, investing in those temporary pieces of the puzzle and start investing in true consumer experiences. And what we tried to do is, like I said, automate the repetitive noise in the background so that we can reallocate those resources to help us grow our business and engage with our consumers in a different way. So, and then I would say the fourth pillar is the partnership. Obviously, we've all heard a lot about that, at this conference. For us, we weren't just looking for vendors. We were looking for partners that understood our missions, our values, and our goals, and could help us pave the way to meet those objectives. So, fortunately, we found that in BigCommerce and Mira Commerce, and that's where we started.
Thank you, Casey. So we had to be very intentional about the architecture. It was not about just adding features. It had to be very precise, open heart surgery in real time that was happening across different parts of the organization. And so this is the really good slide to take a picture of, but we can send that to you afterwards if you register with us at that QR code. But it shows you the stack that Mizuno operates on currently. And so at the heart of the stack is BigCommerce. So we chose BigCommerce for a few reasons. One is the reliability of the cloud, and then the strong performance, and then the robust APIs that actually enabled us to add more components and integrate with that shopping cart. The other thing which we implemented was about a year ago was Content Stack, CMS. And with Content Stack, I call it the liberator for marketing teams, whose speed to publish content improved from weeks and days to hours. And for Mizuno, that's super important because they have these limited drops that they need to publish quickly, and the promotions, and they have seasonality, and it has to operate across two different storefronts for US and Canada. And so at the core of it is actually data standardization and optimization, and on the front of it is the consistent brand experience across the US and the Canadian sites. Okay, so Content Stack provided for that. Another big thing that we implemented was the one-click checkout that reduced the checkout time by 90%. And for the brand like Mizuno, where milliseconds for athletes mean a lot, same is true for the digital conversions. Conversion rate is a holy grail, and so that helps you optimize that. So we used Bolt solution for that. And then for real-time inventory updates, we partnered with Deck Commerce. Chris Deck has an amazing product that is highly specialized. And we implemented this across the purchase journey, and we built a lot of middleware serverless custom apps that expose the inventory to various systems and make this order management really end-to-end. And so that eliminated canceled orders and the oversales on these limited drops. So that helped improve the experience significantly. And so we didn't do this for flashing this shiny diagram to you and to say how cool we are implementing the modern stacks. We did it for the numbers together. And the numbers, they speak for themselves. So it's not just incremental shifts, it's actually the step up. It's a next level of performance. And so what we saw on our end was the organic search went up by 33%. The direct traffic that came to the site increased by almost 60%. And then I want to turn it to Casey to share with you what he saw from his level with the direct-to-consumer team on performance.
Yeah, I mean, and if you want to click through the rest of the KPIs here, obviously we're seeing impressive growth across all of these metrics, which has really been a game changer for our business. So I think what we've started to do and are still working towards is removing friction from top to bottom of the sales funnel and really trying to merge content and commerce seamlessly so that the consumer has a unified experience with our brand. And I would speak to the traffic that Sergey had mentioned. I mean, I think with those types of surges, that would have created a lot of operational fire drills in the back end. And now we have the confidence and we've proven the concept that Sergey just shared with the architectural solution that we can facilitate that type of growth and truly invest in opportunities with our consumers to help grow our business. So.
These are great reels to show to people. These are highlights that we can brag about together. But this is a multi-year journey, and it's very, very complex. And so I'm sure that along the way, you have some lessons to share with some of the practical operators here in the room. There are some of our clients here. There are some of you who are composable interested and curious. And so what can these people learn from your experiences, Casey?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously the results are impressive, but, for us, it wasn't just about flipping the switches. We needed to manage change at a high velocity because we were trying to pull this off, at a pretty quick rate. I would say there's probably 3 lessons that I would identify that could be helpful to people who are looking to embark in the same type of transformation that we've gone through. And the first would be lean on domain expertise. So, I talked a little bit earlier about the partnerships that we aligned with at the beginning, and we trusted that if we made the right decisions early on, that those partners would help us, guide our transformation to where we needed it to go. So we really found strength in others through those partnerships, and we leaned on that domain expertise to help, guide and pave the way. The second would be decisive and adaptable. We had been working through the same systems and processes for decades before, and we knew that in order to achieve the growth that we were hoping to see, we would need to change the way that we did some things. And I think that when you start at the beginning of these projects, you try to put a plan on paper and you try to outline every single detail that you'll need to cover. But for us, we knew that that was just the starting block. It wasn't going to be the finish line, and that along the journey of this project, we would have to, make decisions that could potentially change processes. But we knew that that's what we needed to do to grow the business. So, and then, the third is keep it human. Like, these types of projects are massive that involve a lot of different teams, and you can get really mechanical going through one sprint plan to the next. And we took the time and effort to get to know our partners, to keep meetings light, to try to have some fun along the way, so that in those high stress moments, it just made a difference. And I think that helped the project overall.
Spot on. And I would add one more lesson from us as a partner agency. Each organization moves at different speeds compared to others, but within the organization itself, different departments and groups, they move at different speeds. And this is not necessarily showing that your marketing is slower than IT. IT has a mandate to implement websites, to modernize the stack, but marketing, finance, supply chain, they all move at different speeds because they have these custom workflows, and the business relies on those critical workflows to function. And you cannot just steamroll through the process and come in as an agency and say that this is the best practice, this is how you guys shoot it, and then ignore many, many years that made this company successful, actually. So the question is, what do you need to change and what needs to stay the same? You cannot replicate the same process, you need to optimize, but it takes time to learn that stuff. And I think that you, as people who are implementing these projects within your organization, I think this extra time of being the internal evangelist and salesperson and advocate for change is a very important piece of what you do, part of what you do. And I think that we took a lot of time to actually understand what makes athlete experience unique with Mizuno, and how Mizuno shoe is different, or Mizuno bat is different from those of the competitors. And there's a whole science behind it. I had no idea. It's very interesting, and it's very cool to read the articles in Wall Street Journal about the 3-ounce shoes and the race to make the shoe lighter than a sock, and some of the innovation that's coming later this year from others and Mizuno as well on this front. But my point is, our role as an agency, I see it as somebody who helps teams evolve and implement the change that sticks. Change management is paramount in all of this. So I do want to spend the rest of this presentation and then turn it to Q&A, but I want to talk about AI, obviously, as it's on top of everybody's mind. So a few days ago, I was shopping for shoes for my running. So I run, I train, and I'm a fan and loyal fan of Mizuno, and I was looking for a shoe, and Gemini recommended a few shoe options that fit my style and my orthopedics and so forth. And so I had questions about it that were not answered by AI. So I didn't go to Mizuno website. I went to Casey, and I asked him a few clarifying questions, and he gave me the information that no website would have had. based on what you're looking for, actually this is the shoe that you should be getting. And I think that this is important in the era where the website stops to be that single channel through which we communicate with the brand. Sometimes people like myself, they would look online in the LLM AI agent to LLM-powered AI agent to educate themselves about the brand and then buy a product without ever visiting the website. And so we over-invested in the past years, as far as I'm concerned, with a lot of our customers into developing these beautiful UX, UI experiences. But Casey, my question to you is, with this long intro, is what do you see in this brave new world as a critical, important component of your strategy as we go from this path to purchase being fully on the website, now being driven by this channel agentic shopping agents that would browse, compare, and purchase on our behalf. So we have a really limited control over that. Where do you see the future going in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the million-dollar question that everybody here is trying to figure out, and I don't think we're any different. We're at the starting block, of this initiative, and I think that the one thing for us is we know that data is really going to become our brand, and that's going to be the foundation. So we're going to look to build a strong data foundation using MACH principles, keeping it modular and clean, so that we can deliver consistent data into the marketplace, regardless of where our consumers are shopping, whatever channel it may be. And then I think that as brands and retailers and merchants like us begin to lose that traditional path to purchase, we're going to double down on the path to advocacy, and we're really going to figure out how to create memorable and frictionless experiences for our consumers, so that we can have a unified consumer experience in the marketplace across, the entire omni-channel ecosystem. So, and then, I think finally, I think trust is the ultimate competitive advantage. So at Mizuno, we believe authenticity fuels trust, and AI machines, at least at this point, in my opinion, are not authentic, but people are. So AI is probably going to change the way that we view our strategy, or maybe even design our strategy, but it won't become our entire strategy. We're going to view AI as a microservice within our strategy, and really look for opportunities to intercept the artificial intelligence with human intelligence to make sure that we're delivering a genuine and authentic experience for our consumers. I mean, we've been making products for 120 years, made by people, for people, athlete to athlete, and that's at our core values. And for the foreseeable future, that's going to remain where it's at. And we, I think that our people are going to be the biggest growth driver into the future. So,
from my side, I would add that Casey said a few things about this human connection and human intelligence augmented with artificial intelligence. You work with humans within your organizations, and we've seen the shifts from this new headless composable is the next brave thing that we should implement, and now it's all about agentic AI, and there are going to be other trends and fads over time. But one thing is not going to change: the fundamentals need to be there. As Sarah said yesterday in one of her sessions, she said, if somebody is ordering a blue shoe and they receive the yellow shoe, that just kills all of the smart AI investments that you have made at the beginning of that transaction, recommending the shoe and so forth. So fundamentals are still going to matter. And we think that we have built this very strong foundation for iterating on, and there are a few other things that we have in sight for the future. Obviously, going all the way headless, expanding to other channels is, there are several of those. So there is more information available, so thank you for joining us today. If you scan that QR code on the right, you can opt into receiving the fully detailed case study, and then we'll send you some other nuggets about how to go composable headless if you're composable curious and what it means for you. And then there are LinkedIn QRs for Casey and myself. We'd love to connect with you. So we do have time for questions. See, I told you we'll have time for questions. I promised to hold back. So if somebody wants to ask their burning question or learn more, feel free to. So let's open it up back to you. Yes, Z.
So
Zoran.
we keep talking about AI.
Yes.
How are you starting to use AI to select the vendors that you work with?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, I think it helps in that research phase, but because we lean on the partnerships and the human connection, I think it still goes through a pretty traditional, vetting process where we're trying to get to know that partner, trying to see if their values and their visions kind of align with what we're doing strategically. But it absolutely helps accelerate that research process and start to give us, maybe the short list a little bit faster. Yeah.
I ask from our side, we are wondering ourselves, does this get to the point of just agent to agent? You're going to create something saying, I need this, and we're going to have something saying, here's what we do, and it's going to go out, and then the AI agent's just going to say it, this is it. 8 minutes later, you know who you're picking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that in the near term, I guess, at least for our business. I mean, I think we would put a little bit more care into it and make sure that we're selecting the right partner there. But, from your side, it sounds like, I think it would definitely be important to make sure you guys are optimized towards the different topics that vendors like us would be, or merchants like us would be looking at.
Yeah. I think, Zoran, it's way too early to talk about automating that. We tried. So all the inbound leads or companies we talk to, we try to flow them through agentic qualification, and then giving our teams the necessary information to go and have a meaningful conversation. Those things hallucinate like crazy. You can set up all sorts of governance and limit it to the knowledge base, but it will invent a company that there are, and then give you all sorts of things that you shouldn't even be mentioning to that team, to the company when you talk to them. So, we're experimenting, but it's too early to say.
Gotcha. Thanks, Sergey.
What would you say your one concern is with going with agentic commerce?
What's the concern of going with the agentic commerce?
Yeah. Or a thing you're cautious about, I guess.
Probably hitting that dark zone. I can't remember what session it was earlier today, but there was a chart that was up in the main stage that was showing your traditional funnel and where you can analyze the data all the way through. There is that dark zone in the agentic commerce world, and I think that's probably the biggest concern is like how do we intercept that experience to make sure that it's legitimate and it's premium for our brand. But yeah, that's where our biggest concern would be right now. Security
And governance of data, and giving it access to the information that might be accessed by somebody, a bad actor or surprise actor. What else, guys? Tim is sitting there in the back end. He's the CMO of Mizuno, and he mentioned one of the crazy examples of how they tried to use AI for generating athlete images, and how over several iterations the Mizuno logo was replaced by AI with the Nike swoosh. And so they had to be really careful what they publish on the website that day, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because just the volume of information that's out there about Nike compared to Mizuno, the AI engine obviously goes to what it sees the most, and it literally morphed our logo over 3 or 4 iterations.
Yeah.
One other question. Internally in the company, how many folks do you have with a title that's specifically AI? You have more of that, or is it more, I have folks that they still have a regular title, but now I just expect everyone to use AI?
Yeah, I would say that's probably more where we're at. I would say 0 people in our company have AI in their title right now. But that's where I kind of mentioned we're at the starting block on our side, and I think that we're leveraging AI in little ways across the organization. But it, at least for our team, it will continue to be a microservice for the time being, so that we can learn, how to define this strategy more clearly into the future.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Have you been able to leverage AI in any operational or fulfillment spaces?
Not yet. We have not. We're definitely taking a look at AI and data enrichment. I think probably everybody in this room is doing that in the discovery part of the funnel as well. I think that's going to be really important, but I think we're also going to be able to find advantages with AI in our like sizing tools and how to make, the right recommendation. A little bit into what Sergey was talking about. That was like more of a product recommendation side of things, but even, from our side to reduce returns and, when you're shopping digitally for a pair of shoes or a shirt, everybody's product fits a little differently. So for the consumer, like, how do you kind of bridge that gap of, well, what size should you be wearing? And I see huge advantages for that using AI.
On our side, we've seen the explosion of AI tools for recommendations in the B2B space. If you are supplying to stores, to distributors, if you are signing up somebody as a new distributor of yours or the storefront, and they shop your website as a B2B customer, what should they be buying? What should be the ideal product mix for them to achieve the most growth, the most profitability? So what are you optimizing for? And having the AI tool in the background, comparing them in terms of demographics and the setup and the size to the other successful retailers who turn the most volume or are most profitable at what they sell, who are maximizing the opportunity, and then recommending those shopping carts and suggesting what product mix they should be buying. So that's allowing them to save on the actual sales staff to hire and to go out into northern Idaho to visit that store, knock on the door, and to tell them how to sell the products, to educate them about that process, right? So we've seen a lot of efficiency there. Anybody else? I hope everybody scanned that QR. So thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to be at this event, so thank you, BigCommerce, for putting this together for us. We'll stick around if you want to talk. Thank you, Casey. Thank you.
Thanks, Sergey.